Welcome everyone to the 1:30 p.m. presentation of the Virtual Midwest Staffing Conference. Our session is Best Practices in Drug Testing, Streamlining the Process and Going Hands-Free, presented by Vadim Pikas, Lochness Medical. Thank you for speaking for us today, Vadim.
Absolutely. Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much for the intro. Happy Friday, everyone. Excited that we're getting ready for Memorial Day weekend. Although we can't do too much with this Corona craziness, happy that we get an extra day for spending time with family and friends. And hopefully next year we can all meet in person at the 2021 Midwest Conference. So for this session, we'll go over drug screens. So a quick breakdown for today's session, we'll just do a little intro on Lochness Medical, then we'll jump into current trends within drug testing. We'll take a look into the next 5 to 10 years of what drug testing will look like. We'll go over the app analyzer and drug testing as a whole and bring it home. We'll see what all this means for you and staffing as a whole. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to chat me or Laura, and we should have some time at the end to go over those questions quickly. If not, I have a contact page at the end as well, and I'll be happy to reach out accordingly for any questions. So who is Lochness? Lochness is a medical device manufacturer. We're based just outside of Toronto, Canada, in a city called Markham, and we specialize in infectious disease testing like the coronavirus test, flu test, strep testing, and of course, drug testing. I'm personally based here in Chicago, and have been at the company for over 5 years now. So let's dive a little bit more into current trends within drug testing, what we're seeing throughout the country and also throughout the world. So it's fantastic that we're able to have this conversation today to start essentially the new decade, because we've been able to gather quite a bit of data from the last decade, spanning 2010 through 2019. Something that's consistent is the fentanyl and opioid crisis. And a quick update there is that we are still seeing things just as we were in the previous decade. Smugglers and importers of fentanyl are unfortunately getting more creative, and we're seeing it to continue to rise throughout the country, especially within larger cities and metropolitan areas. Luckily, though, there are much more regulation regarding all drugs, especially opioids. So we're hoping to see a downturn starting this year and then going forward into this decade as well. Going off of that, what we are also seeing is fake drugs. Fake drugs are just sold as amphetamines, meth, cocaine, things of that sort, but in fact, they're fentanyl, which is increasingly troubling and scary to think about because it's essentially fentanyl and it's just lace. So folks that are taking it are unaware. I'm not sure if anybody here has seen this picture here to the right, but these are actually lethal doses of the respective drugs. So as you can see, just a very small amount of each one can kill you. Especially with the middle one and the far left one as well. From here, let's dive into what we're seeing to be the new trend for this decade, which is methamphetamine. Methamphetamine has, of course, been around for quite a bit of time now, but now that the data has shown from 2010 to 2019, methamphetamine positive rates have actually increased 3x. It's just becoming more it's just becoming cheaper to manufacture year after year, and therefore cheaper to obtain as well. The DEA and SAMHSA believe that there's a chance the next drug addiction crisis will actually be methamphetamine. So they're expecting to see a flip-flop between the opioid crisis and the methamphetamine crisis, starting around potentially 2025. And then, of course, we have marijuana, and specifically recreational marijuana. So the semi-legal drug that we see throughout the country right now. Currently, we're at 11 states now that are fully recreational, with Illinois being the newest. Those of us here in Chicago and Illinois as a whole definitely seen a difference from all aspects regarding this. There are quite a few more hurdles regarding medical cards, employing folks, testing, and just far more red tape. And with this being an election year towards November, we're seeing that the following states that will legalize and go recreational are going to be Arizona, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania as well. Now we'll go over to emerging drugs and what we're seeing within the current trends of these drugs. So these 4 drugs that we have here, Crocodile, Spice, and Kratom, and Tiana, are synthetic drugs that we're seeing coming up in respective markets. We'll just go through each one of them quickly. Crocodile is a synthetic opioid that's derived actually out of Eastern Russia. We haven't seen it too much in the United States, mostly just in the New York boroughs, but we're hoping to see that it doesn't make its way any further. It's already been made illegal in all 50 states. So it hasn't taken off as much as these other 3. The next one is Spice, K2, K3. This one has been around for quite a bit of time. Actually was derived in the United States, in South Carolina at Clemson University in the 90s. It's a synthetic alternative to marijuana, and we haven't really seen it becoming popular until recently. As of 2017 and onward, so from 2017 to today, we've seen a year-over-year 10% increase in popularity. So it is definitely a little bit worrisome, and we're seeing that it's continuously going up. It's a little bit confusing on our end why it's becoming more popular, given that more states are legalizing marijuana. So we're a little bit confused as to why a synthetic alternative is becoming more and more popular. The next one is Kratom, and this one is actually becoming illegal in almost every state here soon. Multiple states have already put bills and laws within their state governments to make it illegal, and we expect this drug to be completely outlawed in the United States within 2 years. It is also a opioid derivative as well and mimics the effects of opioids. Tiana is the newest of all of these. This one was just introduced in the United States in 2019. The earliest that we're seeing is as March of 2019, so just a little over a year of existence of this drug. We're predominantly seeing it being sold at gas stations and sold as a supplement, so not even a true drug, and it mimics the effects of serious opioids. We're not really seeing this in the Midwest, but we're seeing it in high concentrations in states such as Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and Louisiana, so predominantly in the South. In all those states, there are already bills in the state governments to make this drug illegal. So we're seeing that this might be taken to a federal level and just made illegal on a national scale. So from here, let's jump into a little bit more upbeat and fun topic. So let's take a look into the future of drug testing. So the biggest advancements that we'll be seeing overall within drug testing is going to be automation. As with all industries, we've seen technological advancements increasing more and more as the years go on. Drug testing, however, has essentially been untouched since the 70s. Drug testing was started in the 70s after the Vietnam War, when those vets were coming back with addiction issues, being exposed to opium. So to start, we'll start seeing that things go hands-free with applications, apps, analyzers for all different types of drug testing. There won't be any more interpreting drug streams, performing them in general, and we'll dive a little bit more in this in a couple of slides. Through automation, we're going to see increased accuracy and less cross-reactivity. Drug testing overall right now is about 95, upwards of 99% accurate, but we'll likely see this as a whole become 99.9% accurate. So essentially, perfect accuracy overall. The final point here, and this will be coming more towards the tail end of the decade, will be the adoption of fingerprint drug testing. So I'm not sure if anybody here has heard of this before in terms of fingerprint drug testing, but as we all know, all of our own fingers have unique patterns, loops, whorls, etc. Within those, we have sweat glands known as eccrine sweat glands, and when pressed against the surface, there's excess of this liquid, which is there to help us in gripping objects such as a glass of water when you're drinking. Police agencies, of course, use fingerprints to aid in investigations, but now we're finding that this same eccrine sweat which the police investigations are detecting when they're looking for fingerprints, can be used to perform drug screens. So when you're flying internationally, when you come back into the United States or into those international countries, you normally have to do a fingerprint scan. So it'll be very similar where you have a machine within your office, and your candidates or employees will actually just press their finger down, just as you can see here in this image on the right. And within a couple minutes, so you'll press down for about 30 seconds, and then within a couple minutes, it'll develop and let you know if your candidate's positive or negative for that drug. And in theory, we're seeing that early studies are showing that this will actually be even more accurate than all other drug testing samples that are available right now. So that's urine, saliva, and blood testing. And with it being less invasive, we see it being adopted as a whole for drug testing of the future. So let's take it back a little bit and review what we're doing right now. So instead of looking to the future, let's see what we can do right now. So the current process is, as an employer, you have one of two options when it comes to drug testing. Number one is send it out to a clinic or lab to perform the test, which might be a little easier for your internal staff, but on the downside, it will be roughly 90 to 95% more expensive. The second option, and this is the most common option that we're seeing in the staffing space and with all employers, is performing a urine or saliva drug screen within office or on-site, more commonly known as a rapid test. And even though it's much more cost-effective, there are limitations with this one as well. And the biggest one there is that it's timely. You have to allocate time with your staff, with your candidate to perform this drug screen, and you also have to collect a sample. The current process is quite extensive as well. All in, you're probably looking at it roughly 15 minutes. So the first step is collecting the sample and performing the drug screen itself with your candidate. Next is to interpret and read the result, which is where things can get a little complicated, depending on a number of factors. This is the most subjective factor as well and can lead to human error. Oftentimes we're seeing that depending on the light, depending on just the individual's eyesight or the actual device, it's hard to tell if it's a positive or negative sample, which, as you can imagine, can really throw up some red flags and lead to quite a bit of confusion when you're trying to place someone. Next is actually documenting the results. And oftentimes we're seeing this just to be on paper, which of course everything else for the most part is virtual or digital. So this process will eventually become digital as well. And last but not least is inputting the results into your applicants or employee file, whether that's in your own company's internal database or an ATS. So like I said earlier, all in, going through all these steps just to perform a single drug screen, you're looking at about 15 minutes just for this portion of bringing on the candidate. However, there is a app or analyzer solution that will be coming out. And this is the future of drug screens. So here we have a quick, so here we'll have a quick demonstration of what this app analyzer would look like in effect if you had it in your office. So essentially on your iPhone, Android, Microsoft phone, tablet, you just go to your app store and download this app. And from there, I'll just press play to give you an idea of what this will look like. So you'll log in just like with any other app. And here you're just going to search for an applicant or employee that you've already inputted. So here we have John Doe. And here's the actual device. It takes a picture. As you can see, it's within seconds. This is a 10-panel test. So it'll prompt it to take a picture of the other side. And here it'll take a picture of the other side. A couple seconds later, it'll read it. Now it's interpreting those results for us. And as you can see negative, negative, positive, negative, negative. And here we'll go back. Just in case you think that those results aren't what they should be, you can change it from a positive to a negative or a negative to a positive. We can also lock that feature. That way it just reads it and we can call it a day. And then here you'll have your applicant sign, submit, and it'll fire right into your database or into your ATS or whatever else it might be. That way there's no more reading, there's no more interpreting the data, and there's no photocopying or having to send off PDFs or pictures of that file to have on hand for yourself and for your internal staff and for your clients. So let's see here. So what does this all mean for you and your staffing agency? Well, first things first is, as you saw how quick and easy the reader makes things, saves you a ton of time. I mean, we're talking 1 to 2 minutes versus 15. If you're in the light industrial or more clerical space and things of that sort, you might be doing 100 drug screens a month, if not more, per office. So it's quite easy to do quick math to see how many countless hours you and your staff can be saving on this portion of the onboarding process. The next thing is happier employees. And the reason being there is that internal employees can just focus more time on other tasks outside of drug testing. And the candidates, soon to be employees, will also like how much faster they'll be able to get in and out of the door. And not to mention, drug testing isn't the most fun or most attractive part of this onboarding process. So if we can mitigate that and limit it as much as possible and really focus on building a relationship with the candidate and talking about what's going to make them a successful candidate or employee, it'll just be for the better. So going hands-free, of course, means no more paper forms, no more losing paper, no more uploading paper, photocopying, anything of that sort. It's just all right there and goes right into your ATS accordingly, which is one of the final points there. So with no more human error from reading it, interpreting the results, uploading the data, it quickly uploads for you. And on the back end, it'll be in your ATS. We can also have it on a cloud-based platform. That way you can pull it accordingly. And if you ever need to go back and review those results, or if, let's say there's an audit done and you need to review those results, you can always have quick and easy access to it. And this is something that will be coming on the marketplace for all drug testing services within 6 months. So this is a very near and distant future for all staffing agencies to utilize. Currently, this technology is being utilized in hospitals and clinics, and now we're making it available for anybody that performs drug testing, specifically within staffing, and gearing it more towards that. So from here, Laura, I wanted to see if you had any questions that might have come about during the conversation or anything of that sort.
I do not see questions entered yet, but please feel free to type them into the question box.
And I'll go to the last page here. And if you don't have any questions currently and that come to mind, feel free to call me, email me, or go to our Lochness Medical website to explore other alternatives, and I'd be happy to answer any of those accordingly as well.
Oh, there's a question. Any ideas what ATS systems this will work with?
Yeah, great question. It's actually something that we've come across with current clients as of right now. So we are in talks with quite a few of the larger ATS systems, and I can review those accordingly if needed. We have also on our end, just to make the process easier on all ATS systems. I know that when the staffing agency hears we're going to integrate with a ATS, it becomes a big question because that process can take quite a bit of time. So we've increased our IT team by 5 times. We just had 5 people before. Now we have 25 people on our IT team. So as far as that goes, if we're not currently in talks with a specific ATS system that you're utilizing, we can definitely get it done and have all the work done on our end and then get that quickly integrated. In the interim, what we can do as well is just have it sent to an email. And then right there, it can just be uploaded accordingly as well. But that way there's no more paper involved either way. Great question. Laura, did we have any other ones or? Laura, did you say if we had any other questions there?
Sorry, my mic was off. There are no more questions typed into the box. Thank you, attendees, for coming to this session, and I invite you all to return at 2:30 p.m. Central Time for Cybersecurity and Working from Home, presented by Highland Risk Services and Worldwide Specialty Programs. Vadim, thank you for your time today. Excellent presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing Memorial Day weekend. Take care.